Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to today's Crypto Daily Roundup. It's been another busy 24 hours in the markets, and today we've got some big stories to break down. Bitcoin continues to show resilience. Despite a recent correction, Ethereum is pulling in eye-watering ETF inflows that are rewriting the institutional playbook. XRP keeps climbing steadily as the regulatory picture clears up, and Solana has once again shown why it's known as the comeback chain. There's also a fresh altcoin story developing with Remittix, a token that's starting to catch the market's attention for its focus on global remittances. And regulators are making waves too, with the Department of Justice clarifying how it views open-source code development and the SEC reminding everyone it's not going to sit quietly on the sidelines. Today we are going to just quickly recap the big coins and remind ourselves of what's got them to where they are today. So, let's start with the numbers and run through the top 10 coins by market cap, excluding stablecoins. At number 1, of course, is Bitcoin. Today, it's holding just above $111,000 after spending much of August testing highs near $124,000. That retracement shook out a lot of over-leveraged longs, with nearly $900 million in liquidations cascading across the market last week. But the bigger picture hasn't changed. Exchange balances remain at their lowest in over 5 years. On-chain data shows continued accumulation, and long-term holders are as steady as ever. It's become clear that Bitcoin's structural bid isn't going away. And even when the market stumbles, institutions, ETFs, and whales are there to scoop up the supply. Ethereum holds the number 2 spot, trading around $4,590. The story here is institutional inflows. For the first time, Ethereum ETFs have overtaken Bitcoin ETFs in weekly flows, bringing in nearly $3 billion in just 1 week. That's a seismic shift in how the market views Ethereum. For years it was always Bitcoin first, but now Ethereum is proving it has its own unique institutional draw. Between staking yield, smart contract adoption, and a growing role in DeFi, Ethereum is positioning itself not just as digital silver to Bitcoin's gold, but as programmable money that institutions can't ignore. Analysts estimate that as much as 70% of Ethereum's latest rally is ETF-driven, but the other 30% is organic demand from developers, applications, and users. That mix of financial products and network utility is what makes Ethereum's story so powerful right now. Next, XRP. It's trading at just over $3, adding another 3% in the past day. XRP's move has been less dramatic than Bitcoin or Solana, but it's steady, and that's what makes it interesting. For years, Ripple's court battles cast a shadow over the token. Institutions stayed away, adoption was muted, and traders lost patience. But now, with most of those legal challenges resolved, the narrative has shifted. It is once again being discussed as a bridge asset for settlement and remittances, a token that can move money across borders faster and cheaper than legacy rails. The regulatory clarity has given institutions more confidence to dip back in, and retail investors who never left are finally seeing the payoff. It may not have the fireworks of other tokens, but XRP's slow and steady climb makes it one of the more compelling plays in the top 10. At number 4, we have Binance Coin, sitting in the mid-800s. Binance Coin has been one of the most consistent performers over the last few years. It doesn't have the hype of Solana or the institutional spotlight of Ethereum, but it has utility baked directly into the world's biggest exchange. Reduced trading fees, early access to token launches, staking perks, all of it creates steady, sticky demand. Binance has faced its share of regulatory battles globally, but the token continues to hold firm, showing that utility and network effects still matter in crypto. Then there's Solana, back in the headlines with an 8% surge in the past day, climbing over the $210 mark. This is why traders call Solana the comeback chain. It faced brutal skepticism after outages. It was written off by many after the FTX collapse. And yet here it is, roaring back with developer momentum, NFT activity, and a surge in institutional interest. Solana's narrative right now is speed and cost. It can process transactions faster and cheaper than Ethereum. And while it doesn't have Ethereum's depth of ecosystem, it's carving out its own lane in gaming, NFTs, and DeFi. When Solana moves, it moves fast. and traders know to watch it closely because it tends to lead altcoin sentiment when it rallies this hard. Dogecoin comes next, trading around 22 cents. The original meme coin has had a strange year. On one hand, it doesn't have the institutional backing of Bitcoin or Ethereum, and on the other, it doesn't have the utility of XRP or Solana. But what Dogecoin does have is cultural power. Every time Elon Musk mentions it, every time it trends on social media, it gets another burst of attention. And after more than a decade, Dogecoin refuses to fade away. It remains in the top 10, proving that memes and culture are forces in crypto just as much as technology and finance. In 8th place is Tron, trading around 35 cents. Tron continues to fly under the radar in the West, but globally, particularly in Asia, it's a powerhouse. It dominates stablecoin transfers, processes more transactions than most other blockchains combined, and maintains some of the most active user metrics in the industry. While it doesn't grab headlines like Ethereum or Solana, its sheer volume of use cases makes it an undeniable player in the top 10. And rounding out the list is Cardano, trading around 87 cents. Cardano has always been a slow and steady project. Its development cycle is long, its upgrades are methodical, and its community is deeply loyal. Critics argue it moves too slowly, but supporters say that's exactly what makes it resilient. Cardano has been building quietly in the background, focusing on scalability, governance, and real-world adoption in places like Africa. It may not move as fast as other chains, but it remains a consistent top 10 player with one of the strongest communities in the space. Now that we've gone through the top 10, let's shift to the stories that are driving the market. The first big story today is political tailwinds. Markets are buzzing about how the current administration may influence Federal Reserve appointments and interest rate policy. The expectation of a more dovish Fed is fueling risk assets across the board, and crypto is benefiting directly. Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and even Dogecoin have all seen a lift from the idea that easier money could be on the horizon. It's a reminder that crypto doesn't exist in a vacuum. Macro policy still matters, and right now, the winds are blowing in crypto's favor. The second major story is Ethereum's ETF dominance. Inflows into spot Ethereum ETFs have overtaken Bitcoin for the first time ever, bringing in nearly $3 billion in a single week. That's historic. It shows that institutions are starting to see Ethereum not just as a speculative asset, but as a core holding with real yield attached. Staking yields of 3 to 4%, combined with the deflationary pressure from burned fees, make Ethereum uniquely attractive. It's not just digital silver. It's programmable yield-bearing money, and that's a narrative that institutions understand. This inflow story could reshape how portfolios are built going forward, and it's a huge reason why Ethereum has held so strong even after Bitcoin's pullback. Another interesting development is the rise of Remittix, a new token focused on global remittances. It's still early, but it's gaining traction fast. The idea is simple. Use blockchain to make cross-border payments faster and cheaper than legacy systems. XRP has long been the leader in this space, but Remittix is positioning itself as a next-generation solution, with partnerships brewing and a beta wallet on the way. Early hype doesn't always translate into long-term success, but it's a token to watch, especially with emerging market adoption growing. Then we have regulatory clarity from the Department of Justice. In a statement, the DOJ said that simply writing open-source code isn't a crime. That matters because developers have long worried about being held responsible for how their code is used. This clarification eases some of those fears and could encourage more innovation without fear of prosecution. At the same time, the SEC is signaling it's not going soft. Enforcement remains on the table, and projects that skirt securities laws are still in the crosshairs. It's a classic 1-2 punch. Regulators easing pressure on the builders, while tightening oversight on the issuers. And just a quick message from today's sponsor. If you hold crypto yourself, make sure it's safe. Grab a Ledger hardware wallet if you don't already have one using the link in the description. It really supports the channel and helps us keep bringing you these crypto updates. Now, let's step back and look at the bigger picture. Bitcoin remains the anchor of the market. It corrected hard but didn't break. Ethereum is enjoying a wave of institutional love unlike anything we've seen before. XRP is quietly climbing with regulatory clarity. Solana is roaring back as the comeback chain. Dogecoin continues to prove culture has a place in crypto. Tron dominates transaction volume, and Cardano keeps building slowly but surely. And in the background, new names like Remittix are trying to carve their place in the narrative. Add in favorable political wins and clearer regulatory guidance, and the setup for crypto looks stronger than many expected just weeks ago. So the question is this: are we seeing the start of the next leg higher, or just a temporary bounce before another pullback? The signs point to strength, but as always, crypto is volatile. That's why it's crucial to stay informed, stay protected, and stay ready. What do you think? Is Ethereum about to steal Bitcoin's crown with ETF inflows? Is Solana truly the comeback story of the year? Can XRP finally deliver on its promise of cross-border dominance? And will new players like Remittix find a permanent place in the market? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Smash like if you're enjoying these deep dives. Hit follow so you don't miss tomorrow's roundup. And as always, we will see you at the top.